Hi class, so for this lecture we will be talking about economic globalization, okay? Again, it refers to the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of the growing scale of cross-border trade of commodities and services, flow of international capital, and wide and rapid spread of technologies. So, economic globalization class means that there is an interdependence of countries around the world when it comes to their economies. Okay, so the growth and slowing down of the economy of a country is dependent also on the economy of other countries. All right, so why did they become interdependent? This economic interdependence is a result of trade. First, trade, as we have said in our definition, trade in goods and services. Countries do earn big from trading with other countries. Okay, so like say for example, the Philippines export fruits to Japan. So we sell fruits to the Japanese people. Okay, and our Filipino businessmen are earning from those exports, from those sell abroad. Okay. However, if the economy of Japan goes bad, their businessmen may not afford to import or order fruits from our Filipino businessmen, let's say for a long time. Okay, then our economy in that instance is also affected. Okay, so that is just an illustration of interdependence. So if Japan's economy is doing well, our export of fruits to them will not stop, and we will continue to earn and even provide employment to our fellow Filipinos. However, if their economy goes bad and their businessmen will not be able to order fruits from us or import fruits from us, then we are also affected. Okay? Second, flow of international capital. So let's say, for example, again, Japan is investing in electronic businesses in the country. Okay, so we have Japanese investors who are putting in capital in the Philippines to put up factory of electronic products, right? So in that case, there is a flow of capital from Japan to the Philippines. Okay, and these Japanese people are wanting to put up what electronic businesses in the country that would provide employment to our people. Okay, so but if, for instance, the economy of Japan goes bad and the Japanese investors are affected, then we in the Philippines will also be affected because the capital from Japan may no longer be available in the Philippines. So it may not be sustained. Okay, so or there will be less capital that will be flowing into the Philippines from these Japanese investors. So if their economy is also good in that instance, and Japanese people or Japanese businessmen would continue to put in capital in the Philippines, that's good for our economy. All right, so that's an example of the flow of international capital making our economy dependent on the economy of Japan, right? So third, spread of technologies. It allowed easier communication and negotiation among businessmen around the globe. So the decision to put up businesses in many countries are easily made with the use of technology. So with technology, our American investors, American businessmen can put up business in the Philippines. Like say for example, they will be putting in call center companies in the Philippines that would cater to their customers in the US. Okay, so technology enabled US investors to put in businesses in the Philippines. Okay, because call center industries, guys, the call center industry, sorry, is largely supported by technology, the internet, and softwares. Okay, so because of trade of commodities and services, flow of international capital, and the wide and rapid spread of technologies, there has become an increasing interdependence of world economies. Okay, so that is economic globalization. So the economies of every country are dependent upon each other. Okay, so the growth and the slowing down or the decline of the economy of a country may be dependent on the economy of other countries. There are other factors that led to the emergence of globalization or that facilitated the globalization of economy. Okay, so we have the discoveries and inventions of technology, equipment, and of course travel. Okay, so we have computers now, we have softwares, the invention of jets, of buses, okay, so that has made travel possible and that has made communication possible, also facilitated to the emergence of globalization of economy. Another is the creation of multinational corporations. So multinational corporations, guys, have become an agent of globalization, right? So they produce, they create products, and they also bring these products to different countries, allowing people to share, allowing people to invest in various businesses. Okay, so we also have the circulation of finance, ideas, and culture. When we say circulation of finance, capital is circulating, money is circulating. Okay, so one can just transfer money from the Philippines to the United States or from Europe or Middle East to the Philippines. So now it's just by the tap of your finger, you can transfer money from one place to another. Okay, it happens just in just a few seconds or minutes, right? So ideas are also being transferred, including culture, because of technology and what you call this technology and travel, right? So you're able to in the case of the Philippines, we are more westernized when it comes to our thinking and the way we live. Okay, because we are influenced by the Western culture. This was brought to us by technology and, of course, the migration of people from the Philippines to the United States and vice versa. We also have free market ideology. So, business ideologies from another country can also be applied in one country, right? So, this there is a transfer of ideology or principles that are being practiced in business. Another, there are liberal economic policies and laws, including economies and social movements. Okay, so we have laws by countries that were created to attract business. Like, say, for example, they have the economic free zone or free trade zone, like say in China they have this city where anybody can just enter and put up business in that city without going through the process of paying tariff or paying taxes. Okay, and we also have economies and social movements like liberalism, which is advocating the for non-government intervention in businesses. So commerce for liberalism should be free. Business should be free from the regulation of the government, like our oil deregulation law. Okay, the government cannot control the price of oil because, okay, what it's deregulated. That's one example of liberalism. Okay, so the businessmen in the Philippines who have established businesses in terms of oil, okay, they control the import of oil, okay. They're earning well because they can dictate the price of the fuel, okay. The government cannot impose upon them to say that for this month our price for 1 liter is 30 pesos. No, the government cannot do that, okay, because they are deregulated. So, like economic policies where businessmen are free to engage in business or put up business, buy properties in other countries. Okay, so those will encourage them to do so, right? Because there are no laws that are prohibiting them. But in the Philippines, what we have a certain percentage where we prohibit foreign ownership. Okay. But in Germany class, they are the most considered to be the most open economy. Okay, so their economic policies are liberal. Okay, they don't have much prohibition when it comes to putting up businesses or bringing in capital, products, or services in their country. Okay, so these things are facilitating the globalization of economy. So you will be able to put up businesses in other countries as well, not just locally, but you go internationally. Let's take a look at the modern world system theory of Wallerstein. Okay, so he is saying that the world is a geographical zone where there is division of labor, exchange of goods and services, and flow of capital. When we say division of labor, this means that there are parts of the world who produce raw materials, maybe. There are parts of the world who produce technology. There are parts of the world who produce products. Okay. So he is saying that the world is composed of core regions, periphery regions, semi-periphery regions, meaning countries are not equal in the modern world system because they belong to these three groups. So between core, periphery, and semi-periphery, where would the Philippines belong? Okay, so let's assess that later on as we go through these three peripheries. If we look at core periphery, or we look at the core economy, it is characterized by innovation. Okay, these countries belonging to the core economy or belonging to core peripheries are engaged in an innovation. They are engaged in capital intensive production, meaning they innovate, they create, they produce so that they can sell it to the other regions, right? So, like, say, for example, microchip production or pharmaceuticals, this product type of production, or cars, okay, or robots, right? These kinds of production needs innovation, right? And they're expensive. Okay, if you sell them to other regions or other countries, they are expensive. So this kind of production would require higher or specialized labor, okay, and professional skills. Of course, you cannot just let someone else without education and without special skills to do the production for microchips or drugs, pharmaceuticals, right? So they are industrialized countries, okay, who would produce innovative products, okay. So core countries, guys, are wealthy countries. Again, they are industrialized. They are core countries are defined as wealthy, industrialized countries that other less developed countries depend on. Okay, so the less developed countries or the developing countries would depend on the core countries because these are countries that are wealthy. These are countries that are innovative. They are industrialized. Okay, and the core countries, guys, have variety of resources. All right, they are rich in resources. They have a lot of resources at their disposal. They have strong military. Okay, they also control the global economy. So core countries have powers over other countries because they possess this variety of resources. They possess strong military, and of course, they would control the global economy. Right? So examples of core countries would be Germany, Luxembourg, Finland, Singapore, Japan, US, and the UK. Right, so Germany class has the largest economy in Europe. It's last time I checked, it's the fourth in the world. Okay, so together with China and the USA, Germany is one of the three largest exporting nations, meaning they engage in production, so they export they sell to the world. They sell to other countries. Okay, so they have strong industries that they have developed. They were able to develop manufacturing industries that produce, okay, like the sector of vehicle construction. Okay, they would produce vehicles. Okay, they would construct, they would sell. Electrical industry, okay, engineering industry, even chemical industry. So these are their expertise. These are the sectors that produce for them. Okay, and they have, as I've said earlier, they have the most open economy. Okay, one of the most open economy, meaning the inflow of goods and services is almost free. There are no quotas. They don't um, they don't impose quotas like what they quotas, meaning they would impose like what we will only import for clothings or textiles this year would be this amount. Okay, so if you reach that amount, you can no longer import or buy from other countries. That's an example of a quota. Okay, so barriers, they don't have much barriers, meaning their laws does not prohibit, their policies does not really prohibit the coming in and out of goods and services or capital in their country. Okay, so they don't have much restrictions, right? So, but they are one of the strongest economy. Okay, one, right? One of among. Okay, so they are the leading country among the they lead the European Union. Okay, all right. So let's. How about the Philippines? Do we engage in innovation and do we produce and sell to the world? If you take a look at our country, what type of products do we produce? Okay, what type of commodity do we export to other countries? Okay, we have agricultural products, but in terms of innovation like cars, pharmaceuticals, among microchips, do we export things like those? Or do we just stay with the bananas and the pineapples? I guess we do have exports, however, they're not highly innovative or does not really require high technology. Okay, so we export things that are really, when it comes to price, not that much expensive. We export raw materials to other countries. Okay, so but we import what? Laptops, computers, cars. Those are the things that we import from other countries. So would you consider the Philippines as a core periphery? Sorry, as a core country? Maybe not. Okay, no. Okay. So what is a periphery region or periphery economy? Okay. So periphery economy take part in labor-intensive production. So they require only low-level skills, usually involving the extraction or preliminary processing of resources. So it's labor intensive production, meaning you would depend on the muscles. Okay, you would depend on not a specialized skill, but on the strength of the body. Okay, like mining, right, or copra production. And periphery economy are dependent on they do the preliminary processing of resources. Yung unang process, manggagaling muna kay periphery economy. Like, you would harvest the pinya, okay? And then, you would, you will turn it into a clothing, okay? And then, kapag naging tela na siya, you will export it. Okay, so you did the preliminary processing. And yung bansang kumuha ng tela, they will turn it into something else. Okay, maybe branded clothings or branded jeans or branded something, whatever they would like to produce out of that cloth or that textile that you have sold to them. Okay, so periphery countries sell goods at a lower price to the core countries. So, ang specialization class ng periphery countries, the exports, the products that they would sell, okay, their production would depend on the use of the body in terms of the strength, muscles, okay, labor, right? Nagiji trabaho nga agbagbagkat, okay, like our agriculture, that's a labor intensive production, our agricultural products, because it requires people to go and labor in the farm, right? So whatever the harvest of our labor, we would sell it to the world at a lower price, and these other countries could turn these uh, exports that they got from us, they would innovate and they would turn these things into something that's more usable. Okay, so that's for periphery economy. Usually they are the developing countries, not wealthy countries. They would depend on the core countries, right? So they are what they say, the exploited countries. They are being exploited by the core countries for their natural resources, for their cheap labor, okay? Because the core countries would go into them because their prices are cheap, right? Okay, let's take a look at semi-periphery economy. Semi-periphery economy, guys, would share some characteristics of both a core and a peripheral region. So, or if they would serve as a core to one region and a periphery to another region. So they could be the exploiter, and they could also be exploited by another exploiter, right? So they are being exploited by the core, but they are also exploiters of the peripheries themselves. Okay, so let's take a look at Wallerstein's theory model. Okay, all right, so the core there would engage in the production of consumption goods, okay, and then they would sell it to the periphery, like they would engage in the production of computers, microchips, pharmaceutical products, okay, software. They would sell it to the periphery region and the semi-periphery region, okay? And this periphery region, what will they also bring to the core into the semi-periphery? They would bring cheap labor and raw materials. They would export it to the semi-periphery and to the core region so that these regions can turn these raw materials into innovative products, okay? And they would export cheap labor. Like in the case of the Philippines, we bring Filipinos, OFWs, okay, to different countries to work, right? For semi-periphery class, semi-periphery can export to the periphery and to the core. It's at the middle, okay? Si semi-periphery ang middle class, okay? Si core ang upper class, si periphery ang lower class. Let's go back to periphery class. Periphery, why does the periphery region continues to take part in labor-intensive production? Okay, that's because it does not have the technology, right, to produce. It does not have the technology or even the know-how to produce innovative products or high-tech products, because at sometimes, most of the times, these were the countries that were colonialized before, and there was no transfer of knowledge, there was no transfer of technology from the colonizer. So they were hindered from using their own natural resources to industrialize so that they could achieve the capability to produce and be innovative. There was no transfer of technology, there was no transfer of know-how. So how can they produce, right? So they were hindered from using their own natural resources to be innovative, to be engaged in highly innovative production. Let's just go back to semi-periphery and take a look at some of the examples. Okay, Again, guys, semi-peripheries both have the features of a core and a periphery. So, like India, they sell their highly specialized IT skills and the IT products to most countries. But also, a large portion of India is still dependent on labor intensive production. So, meaning they are semi industrialized, they produce innovative products and services, but are also agricultural or mineral producers or garment and textile producers. India class is known for their technological innovation, like they would produce operating system, softwares, and these are being bought and used by the core countries. Okay, so India supports most of the e-commerce businesses of core countries. When we say e-commerce, these are businesses online. Okay, so in the United States or most core countries, almost all of their transactions are being done online. Okay, so business is thriving online, and for you to be able to have business, you need to have business online. You need to have a good online platform, and this is being supported by most Indian companies. Okay, like say for example the Papa John's Pizza of that's operating in the United States, in Canada, and even here in the Philippines. Okay, so it's one of the famous brand of pizza in the US. Okay, and they have their online stores where they have thousands of online stores in different parts of the United States, or outside of the United States, and they accept orders online. Okay, and they have opening time for their stores, they have closing time for their online stores, and these are being done, the orders are being accepted, they are being routed to the stores by the systems that are being built, managed, and monitored by Indian people. Okay, so that's how they support e-commerce business. Just only an example. Okay, even eBay. Okay, these are also being supported by systems that are built by Indians. Okay, so they also in India they also have what you call INOS or INOS. It's a phone feature which would allow Indian people, to access the internet anywhere and anytime, so that the internet is brought to the underconnected masses, so that the people who are living far, okay, who are living at the outskirts of the country could access the internet. So how would they do this? They can do web search or search the web using text messages. Okay, so they are India have are industrialized in terms of technology. Okay, but at the same time, a large portion of their economy is also still dependent on agriculture. Okay, or other sort of production that requires labor or that requires muscles. Okay, so but because of this aspects, they are industrialized on some aspects and not on some aspects. They cater or they provide diverse economic opportunities for their people. So their people can engage in agriculture, and their people can engage in their highly innovative industry. Okay, so it presents opportunities, more opportunities for their people. So that is Thomas Wallerstein theory on of the modern world system, which shows that there is a division of labor among countries or regions in the world. So we have your core, your semi-periphery, and your periphery. For our next discussion, we will be looking into one theory of globalization, this time by Thomas Friedman, right? So it would outline the stages of globalization, and of course also saying that the world is flat, it's not round. Because of globalization, the world has become flat. We'll also be talking about supply chains or global supply chains in our next discussion.